Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of Committed to the Grind. We're being consistent with our episodes here, and today we have another episode from StreamYard from home for you guys, but we're staying consistent with it, so you got to give us credit for that. We're keeping along with it. We're going to keep going here with Committed to the Grind. Obviously, you guys saw on Instagram, the multitude of guests that we have booked. The man on our screen is one of them. We'll introduce him in just a second. But before we do that, Cole, say what's up to the people.
Good morning, everyone. Great to be coming to you guys again in June. So, yeah, just happy to be here on a Thursday morning.
Yeah, and always CR7 podcast on Mondays. We're trying to release Committed to the Grinds on Thursdays. I don't know if that's going to be a thing that we do once the school year comes around, but for now, it kind of looks like that's the direction that we are headed in. But anyway, enough about that. The man on the top right of your screen, a former running back for St. Joe's Prep, just graduated a couple of days ago, is now going to be headed over to Morgan State to play running back as well. Seth Slater, welcome to Committed to the Grind.
What's up, guys? What's up, Ryan? What's up, Cole? Thank you for having me, and let's get to it.
Of course. I mean, you just graduated a couple days ago. I mean, that's
Oh
certainly
yeah,
got to feel great.
thank you. Definitely feels good. I remember deciding whether I was going to go to the prep or not, and that was a tough choice. Took me a while, but after the 4 years at the prep, it was ultimately the best choice for me, and I'm so glad that I went. The people, the relationships, the coaching, the high academics, just everything about the prep, and I just loved every minute of it. I'm so thankful for all the people there. Most importantly.
We all love the prep around these parts. And before we get, not before, let's get into it. Cole, first question.
So, you, Isaiah West, and Will Voklos, you guys were all seniors. You played all 4 years together. How have you worked with those guys throughout your 4 years at the prep? Talk a little bit about that.
I would say, well, just like a little quick note. So me and Will were actually on the freshman team together, and then Isaiah came in as a varsity player. So our freshman year was, it was. I'd say for me and Will, it was a big learning curve. Obviously coming up from like youth ball in eighth grade, the prep is elite in everything that we do. But I would say that the hard practices and, getting adjusted to the school and getting there in the morning, 5 a.m.s, as you guys know, for morning practice was helpful because that really helped create that bond before we actually got into school. And then once we were in school, that even helped with study hall, with Coach Henderzak and the freshman team, just getting us like a regimen and getting used to life at the prep. So to answer your question though, me, Isaiah, and Will, we didn't really fully connect as like teammates until I probably say my sophomore year. But once we did, we had guys like Caddy and Eric Sanchez and Taj sitting ahead of us. So we all really had to wait our turn. But part of that grind and being together was what helped us do that. And you can even see now, like when Isaiah went down, it was no change of plans. Kion stepped up, I stepped up, Will stepped up. And that just really goes to show like great coaching that the prep provides us and just leadership amongst ourselves and trusting one another. And there was not one day that Isaiah didn't have trust that we were going to win. Like no matter who was in the backfield, we always knew that the main thing was the main thing, and we were going to play our brand of football. So that's really how it was.
All right, there's a big debate going around. Well, I think Coach Henderzak makes the big debate. The best freshman team of all time. Do you guys believe you're the best freshman team of all time?
I believe that we are. I think I'm always going my class regardless, but I think we were the best freshman team solely off the teams that we played. Like I know some of the kids now, they're playing Power Four, Division I football, and I think out of the kids that we played and the teams that we played, we probably had the toughest set of players to go against from those schools. So I'm gonna go with us, and I think we had probably had the most size on our line. With Maxwell Roy, Donovan Christian. So I think if you lead from the front, everything else will follow.
All right. All right. Did you guys go undefeated?
We did not. We were 8-1, I believe. We lost to
Okay.
Malvern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I hold over. Because I played freshman football my freshman year, and that's what I hold over
Okay.
everybody that we went undefeated.
No,
But
I get that a
anyway,
lot too.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I
But
get that a lot.
freshman team this year was pretty good though as well, but they lost to
They were.
LaSalle. So we always got to hold that over them. But nonetheless, my first question here, the last 4 years, obviously, you've played running back consistently for St. Joe's Prep. Talk about the experiences that you've gotten, from playing the position, playing with the guys that you have, and obviously getting that playoff experience by winning 3 state championships.
Can you repeat the last part about the playoff part?
You've gotten a lot of experience, obviously, on high level competition by winning 3 state championships. How does that add to the experience that you've gotten from the prep?
Okay. I would say first off, with the guys that were sitting ahead of us, that was really a great resource for me to learn. Like seeing guys that played at an elite level and sat behind guys that were playing at an elite level. Like before Caddy and Eric and Taj got there, you had guys like Colby Burrell and all those other great running backs. And then with Coach Swift and Coach Bryan just knowing the game so well, and Coach Sugden and Coach Roken knowing how to run the football and how to execute. Just watching really the first 2 years before even getting real time on the field was helpful because you always had, Caddy to ask questions to, or Eric or Taj, and that again taps onto the brotherhood aspect. Like, hey, you might not be the guy right now, but we know in a year, 2 years, it's going to be your show. So that was definitely helpful. I would say also the elite level of competition and like the strength of schedule that we play. Most teams in the state and even the country aren't going to play 3 to 4 out of state opponents consistently, and we're always playing the best. So even just seeing that and game planning different players, learning just football, not even the position of running back, just football period. The prep does such a great job, like educating you on how to be an elite player, how to do the little things right, even just being early to meetings, like 10 minutes early. Always having a notebook and a pen. These are things that I'm doing now in college, so that's helpful. And the last part of your question, relative to the playoff experience and like the state championships, I really just say it taught you how to know to go about your business, and knowing that it's win or go home every week and you have to execute everything. Like obviously mistakes are gonna happen, but that heightened level of urgency and intensity translates to really everything. Even school. You guys know those fourth quarter pushes, studying for finals. You treat that the same way with the same urgency. Like, okay, I gotta stay after school, meet with my teacher so I can be good for this exam on Thursday, Friday. So really the playoff experience just helped me understand the importance of winning, why we do what we do, and then just seeing the culmination of it in a state championship win is really priceless. And, seeing the seniors move on every single year, I never thought, I knew it was going to be me, but it felt so far away to now move on. And then I'm still going to be watching, the young guys, because I know even though we're going to play 4 more really tough teams, St. Francis, I think, among a couple others. The standard's still the standard, and I have full confidence that Kyan, Logan, and all the other running backs are going to carry on the legacy, and I expect us to win next year without any question.
We talked a little bit about the how you were able to ask questions to the older guys
Right.
when you had to step up to be a senior. How were you able to kind of navigate yourself into being a leader?
I would say watching what was done right in previous years and then taking what I guess I feel wasn't done right or maybe wasn't as emphasized and then emphasizing that for my senior year. Uh, Having the older guys there was really not even just for like a football thing. It was like a life thing. Like I can still text any of them right now and say like, hey, I need help, or how do I go about this? And that's like once again the brotherhood aspect. Like these are your brothers for life. It's not just on the field, it's not just in the classroom, it's everywhere. And I already know that they're there for me and they're gonna continue to lead me. So when I became a senior, I said I got to do the same thing. I have to be that senior that they were and more for these young guys, and I hope that who's coming behind me is gonna do the same thing. So it's really just doing what needs to be done for the people that came before you. I just put it to you that way.
Cool.
So you kind of mentioned a couple of coaches. So talk about the coaching staff: Coach Meir, Coach Sanders, Coach Swift, Coach Sugden, and Roken. You can mention others if you need to. What do they mean to
Mhm.
you?
I would say that coaching and the coaches just mean everything. You know, I can really see the development from an eighth grader youth football player coming in to becoming a Division 1 prospect and Division 1 football player now. Without them, I really don't think I will understand the game the way that I do. And I'll talk about my position group and like Coach Brandon, like Coach Swift having his son in the NFL, and then Coach Brian training multiple college and NFL players. It just kept you around the game of football, and those were even guys that they trained that you could ask questions to. Their just knowledge of everything, is just priceless, and I can't even think about where I would be without them. Just from like a footwork and speed and understanding why we're running this play, and that's kind of like one of the bigger things I think that the prep does a good job of. Like they tell you why we're doing something, not just we're just running power to run power. No, it's like why are we running power, and then they're gonna tell you why. Like Coach Sugden, he does a great job of teaching that. Like why are we calling this protection or why are we running this route? Everything has a reason, and they really make sure you understand that to put you in the best position to be successful. Like I would say, Coach Brandon, since you mentioned him, he really helped me become versatile. Like I'm not like a cookie cutter running back. I can catch the ball, I can run routes. I can obviously run the ball, pass protect. So like they all just help you to be versatile and they guide you to be successful at the next level. Because these are all things that they look for. Like even if you look at Saquon Barkley now for like the Eagles, you saw the crazy cuts that he does and the like the route catching out the backfield. Those are all things that they emphasize at the prep. Not to say that everybody's going to make it to that level, but all the little things that they work on are like really emphasized and they help us all to be great. Did I miss anything on that, or you wanted to? All right,
No.
I think that for when I played, I think install is probably the most intense
for sure.
moment of the practice. I think you kind of brought that up, but
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you
yeah,
want me
yeah.
to
But
elaborate on that, or?
if you want to, yeah.
I mean, I would say install is always tough when you're new, but it can be really tough for like the freshman team kids coming up because there's so many more plays and everything like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I guess.
when I was in that position, the first thing that I would do is ask my teammates that already knew it, whether it was a text to Caddy, Eric, Taj, and they would always respond because they wanted to see you be great because they know if I go down, like I don't know, I don't think you guys were here yet, but my sophomore year, I remember Caddy went down, Isaiah went down, Eric went down, and Taj had to step up. And that's the only reason that's able to happen is because we all trust each other. Nobody ever questioned his ability to run for 100+ yards in the game, and that's what helped us to be great. So everybody's trying to help everybody because they know team success is individual success, and that's something that Coach Roken talks about all the time. We're really a family here, and I think that's what makes us different than like a lot of the other programs in this area.
Talking about the programs in the area, you guys completely you guys just pretty much run through almost every single team in Pennsylvania. But nationally, the team was not as highly ranked, and even there was a time when the Prep were below LaSalle in the state rankings for a couple of weeks. So why do you think that? Why do you think the Prep were not like nationally ranked on like that top 10 level that they were in past years?
You know, obviously, I think it's losing a game or early, to St. Edwards, but our mentality didn't really change the whole year. It was always who's the next team, what's the next game plan, how are we going to beat that team. Like we're never looking like, oh, obviously we have our goals. We want to win a Catholic League championship, we want to win the city, we want to win the state. Those are obviously the three goals that we have. But we focus on each team each week. Like those are long term goals, but like if week one is St. Edwards is the plan. We're not worried about LaSalle or any other teams down the road, and that's what helps us to ultimately win in the end. Like rankings are really it is really it's really up to the people that rank them, and they're sometimes can be biased or based off if we only play this many games. So there's a lot of analytics that go into the ranking. So we don't really worry about that. We know that I feel that we can beat anybody in the country regardless of what they're ranked. I don't think the rankings really matter. It's really just about how we handle things each week with each individual team and how we respond ultimately. Like we lost 2 games this year. St. Edwards we lost, but then we came back and responded. Dropped one to LaSalle, but we responded and ultimately ended up winning the state. So as long as we respond and continue to get better each week, I think, that's all that really matters for us as a program.
Kind of looking forward, I think that this might be one of the best teams of all time, honestly, based off like the personnel the prep has. Do you think that they can kind of get back into that national,
Oh, for
top 10?
sure. No doubt. No doubt. We could definitely get back there. I think we could really do that with any of our teams, to be honest with you, because of the standard that we're held to every day. But I definitely, have a lot of faith in this team, and I know that we'll definitely get back up there in the rankings. But I know that they're still focused on the main thing of beating each team each week, focusing on that, and just getting better ultimately. Like the rankings will come, the offers will come, everything for individual success will come, but we need that team success first. So everybody helping everybody is really the goal.
Cool.
So, what do you think the strongest part of your game is?
I would say pass protection. To be honest with you, everybody can run the ball, but I say the best part of my game is probably pass protection and route runner, specifically out the backfield.
Is that something that the coaches tried to like? I don't want to. Here, let me phrase that differently. Obviously, you had guys like Isaiah and Kion that were very great in running the football. You as well, but do you think that the coaches, especially this year, they tried to have Kion, run more to get the guys upfield? Will try to get those, third and ones and stuff like that. Do you think that the prep tried to game plan their way around you, kind of being more of a pass protecting running back?
I would say the coaching staff, they know that's one of my strengths, so they obviously try to use that. Even if we go back to like the Bonner game, I think I only had like maybe 3 to 5 carries that game, versus Kion maybe having like 10, 15, or even Will. But I feel like it's also more so they just know that's like a strength, and they don't want to put anybody. They want to put you in your best position all the time. So if they know you're the best pass blocker, if we need a first down on third down and we're not running the football, I might go in, but we need a big run. They might put Kion in, and arguably we could all contribute. We could all run the football, but each of us are better at like certain things. Like Isaiah was great in the slot; he was great running. He was all around great, as are all of us. But I know Isaiah was really good, like kind of running the football and running routes up the slot. Whereas I was better at pass blocking. Will was better, like downhill running. Like that's why I don't know if you guys know, but downhill Will was like
Yeah.
his nickname. So
Okay.
that was, yeah. So that was really his thing, and I feel like the coaches always just want to put us in the best position to help the team succeed. So I don't take offense to it. I just want to play my role, if
All
that
right.
makes sense. Like I'm just doing what I got to do each week.
I got you. Moving on to let's get into a different sport here. Let's get into basketball. You played basketball for a couple of years before ultimately deciding to just stick to football. What went into that decision?
Uh, to tell you the truth, it was really like a weight thing. Like I knew that I need to, keep my weight up to play running back and to be successful at it. Cause I am taller, like about 5'11", 6 foot. So I knew that I needed more weight on my frame, and basketball was like making me lose too much weight. Like I thought about playing this year, I thought about playing junior year, but I knew ultimately football is what I really wanted to do, uh sport wise. So I said, I'm gonna put on the weight, do the things I need to do in the weight room, and just focus on that. It was really just like a weight thing. It wasn't that I didn't like basketball or I didn't want to play anymore. It was more the fact that I knew I needed to be heavier to be successful on the field.
So I assume you were a point guard.
I played shoot. I wasn't really a point guard. I was more like a shooting guard,
Okay.
small forward.
All
But
right.
yeah, I was a guard. Yeah.
So like the weight sort of thing. Like it was that like is that like I'm not necessarily sure. Like is that like a really big problem? Like was there like did they like try and test your weight or something like that, or
No,
was that just like a personal thing?
it was a personal thing more so because like I knew that most college running, like you got to pass the eye test.
Right.
When you go to these camps and you go on these visits, and walking around at like 175 was not it. And I
Right.
knew that to pass the eye test, to be like, okay, this kid could play here. He has the weight. Obviously my academics are really good, so I don't have any issues with that. but it was really just a weight thing so you can look the part. So I was like, okay, if I'm 195, 200 pounds, I look the part versus running around like 175, 180. You don't really fit that description. So that was the main thing.
All right.
Recruiting
Cool.
more so.
I
Yeah.
got you. Cole, go ahead.
Talk a little bit about the QBs you've been around. Obviously, Samaj Jones, Charlie Folk, to name a few. Talk about their development and how much an impact they made on your job as a running back.
You saying their development, like how it affected me, or just like how I like saw them like over the years?
Kind of like how you saw them, and then like how that translated to your production.
I would say the quarterback is like a big part, but more so just the trust that we have, like practicing every day, mesh periods, RPO periods, team periods. It really built that trust. Like, kind of like I was talking about pass protection earlier. They got to trust that I'm going to be able to block or pick up that blitz for them when they need me to, so they can make the throw. And it's really just like a trust thing. All our quarterbacks, Samaj, Trey, Jack O'Connor, Charlie, they all do a great job of that. And it's really just a trust thing that we develop, throughout practice. And that ultimately helps them be successful. The more that we trust each other and love each other, the more successful that we're going to be as a team. I would say I probably spent the most time with Samaj and Trey, obviously, because Samaj was a grade ahead of me, and Trey was in the same grade as me. But this year with Charlie, it was really unique. Having an underclassman quarterback, and I really had a good bond with him. And through practice, we became closer. So I really say, I trust all of them. I know that they're going to do their job, and I know that Charlie's going to do a great job next year, bringing home another state title.
All right. Kind of getting back, well, not really getting back to the basketball topic here, but there's always there's always the debate going around. What was easier for football players to go to basketball or vice versa? What's your opinion on this? Like, since you played both sports.
Like, you saying like a season transition, or do you, like, who do I think is like better?
Well,
Like,
like, do you think it'd be easier for football players to play basketball, or do you think it'd be easier for basketball players to play football?
I probably say football players to play basketball,
I
only
agree.
because like the hardest part, truthfully, is like conditioning, because like football conditioning, basketball conditioning is different. But I think it's easier for football players to play basketball, obviously, because in my opinion, I think we're more physical, and I think that when it comes to driving to the basket, contact, because we have so much of it in football, we're not gonna be afraid of contact in a basketball game, whereas a basketball player might be a little more conservative, driving to the rim. I always drive to the rim, and I think playing defense was another thing that I did well with basketball. Like, I wasn't more much of a scorer, like a shooter. Like, I could score if I had to, but that wasn't like my role. I was like a
Yeah, I got
defensive
you.
guy, get rebounds, stuff like that. So I think it's easier for football players to play basketball. Like, you saw Ramir last year, even he came back, and it was like a smooth transition. So I think the physicality really makes it easier for football to do basketball.
I think that's a good answer because I agree. Cole, what do you think about this?
Um, Probably say the same thing.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, go with the next question.
After Isaiah West went down, everyone else's production went up. You kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. How are you and the rest of the guys able to continue to run the ball well despite his injury?
Really, the trust that I would say, had in all of us. Like, we had a great trust in each other. Like, when he got hurt, obviously, we were all, upset, like, dang, that's your brother, so you don't never want to see anybody injured. But he still trusts us. Like, it was just keep going, like, carry the torch forward. We still got a goal, we still got to win. And the main thing was still the main thing, and he knew and trusted that we were going to do that, and that's exactly what we did. Like, we just knew, okay, all of our roles are going to be bigger. Nothing changed. Like, scheme was still the same. We're still running the same exact plays, just with new guys in the game, or more guys in the game. So you really just the same trust that he's like, okay, I'm hurt, keep going.
All right. Um, I had a big touchdown in the game against Bonner on Senior Day. Obviously, it was it was a good made good impressions on Instagram and all that good stuff. But what was your feeling when you're able to get that touchdown on Senior Day? It's obviously a big thing for pretty much everybody.
it felt really good to get in the end zone. I gave all the credit to my O line, and my coaches calling the plays and blocking for me. But it felt really good. Senior night's obviously something special. For all the seniors and like the whole program. Because like the one night that really like just honors, I guess, the seniors. So it felt really good. It felt good to get picked up by your O line too in the end zone, like Christian. So that was definitely cool, but I would say, I just felt grateful, to get in there because it's hard to drive down the field, get in there. And then kind of like I was saying earlier, the whole team was like happy, like whenever somebody scores, not just because it was me, but when Kion scores, Will scores, Zay scores, Ramir, any Jet, any of the other receivers, anybody scores is a team celebration. It's not individual; it's always team. And that's one thing that the coaches and Coach Rogan, Coach Sugden, they always preach like, "Hey, team success, not individual success." So it's always celebrate with your brothers. Don't do a dance in the end zone by yourself. It's about the team always.
Right. Cool.
All right, so this is probably one of the toughest questions we ask. Who's your favorite teammate?
Ah man, I don't really have like a favorite teammate. It's so hard to say because like it's so many. I love all of them. I would probably say though, it's not really a favorite. I'm obviously gonna have a little bit of favoritism to the offensive guys only because we spend so much time at practice together. So it's not really a favorite teammate, but I probably say a favorite group. I give you a group.
All
I'm
right.
obviously choose my running back room, because I spend the most time with them. But definitely the offensive side. Like, I got friends. I love the defense, but you know, I'm always gonna choose the offensive guys.
All right. All right. Fair enough. Um, you obviously, we know your commitment to Morgan State. You're obviously going to be playing there during the summer. I don't know. You can talk about when you're leaving and getting ready for all that sort of stuff. But what was your reason for committing to there?
Well, first, obviously they had offered me, and then they kind of showed the most like love during the recruiting process. Also, I would say, it being in Baltimore, that's not far from home. So, my parents can come to my games and stuff like that, only being 2 hours away. Then I would also say like their business school just got ranked like in the top 100 by Forbes recently. So that was another thing because my major is going to be business. So that the academics were there. And then the fact it was a HBCU, that was another factor. So those are probably like the three main things that I consider when committing there.
Business, is that something that you look forward to after football?
Oh, for sure. I'm not really set. Like I said, business is my major, but I don't know what specific area I want to go into in business. But it's definitely like long term, like life after football. Because the ball is you're not gonna be able to play forever, and I know that. And having a business degree is very broad and allows you to go into a lot of different fields, career wise.
All right. Cole, go ahead.
As a basketball player, what was it like watching and playing with those guys? As a basketball player, and then looking at them junior and senior year and seeing them develop.
I would say it was definitely cool. When I came in, like that was Coach Harrigan's second year in the program. So I would say, I guess you could say I played during the rough years, when we weren't making the playoffs, but when I didn't play, it was good to just watch the guys succeed because I know how hard they work. Jordan, Olin, Jaron, the rest of the team, all the work that they put in, working out with Coach McKee during the summer in the field house. So I saw all the work because we're there for football all the time. So we might be leaving and they might just be getting there, to work out. So I would say it was really like refreshing, like to see that their success finally paid off. Jordan getting 1,000 points, Jaron getting 1,000 points, and then them committing ultimately to their schools as well. So that was really cool to see, just like their development over the years, and continuing to make the program better as the years went on.
All right. Um, kind of getting into your role in the future at Morgan State, you have some going over your film and stuff like that. You have some practice film of you lining up at the receiver spot, you working on kind of your receiver drills. You also mentioned it a little bit that you can catch the football. Is there any interest in maybe switching over to receiver in college?
If they want me to, like, I know I can do it, so I'm always open to it. I know I'm going to be playing the slot a little bit. We talked about that, but they still recruiting me to play running backs. That's the plan as of right now. But if they said we need you to play the slot, or we need you to do a little bit more of that, I'm fully open to it. Whatever they need me to do, I'm gonna do it to help the team win.
So you still kind of want to play running back just a little bit, if they want you to more play in the slot, that's something that you would be open to.
Yeah, I want to play running back, obviously, because that's what I've done, for
I
so
got you.
long. That's why I was successful at the prep. But if they needed me to play receiver, I'm not against it.
Okay.
I'm about team success. So if that's what we need to do to make the team successful, then that's what we're gonna do.
Okay. All right. Cole, go. Yeah, Cole, go ahead.
Sticking with college, how do you plan to make an immediate impact at Morgan State from a more technical standpoint?
You talking about on the field or in the classroom, both?
Both, if you want.
I would say, in the classroom first, I'm a great student at the prep, or was a great student at the prep. Now I just graduated. But I'm gonna carry everything, being on time. That's really important. That's something I'm gonna carry with me. Turning my assignments on time, being early to class, making connections early with your teachers. Those are all things that the prep taught us as students, and those are things I'm gonna do there. And one thing people are gonna know about me is that I'm about my business on the field and in the classroom. And you're never gonna have to count on me missing anything. I'm always gonna be there. I'm reliable. I'm a hardworking person, and those are things that I'm gonna let them know in the classroom. On the field, same thing. Hardworking, last guy to leave, first guy to get there. And then just really play my role, like whatever that may be. There's guys that are obviously like ahead of me, being on the team already, the transfer portal, everything like that. But I just whatever they need me to do. I'm more focused on just being the guy that fills the role, gets the job done, and just reliable on whatever they need me to do. The prep prepares as well on the football field from like a schematics standpoint and just understanding football. So whatever I need to do, I'm just do it.
All right. Obviously, most of your practice film and stuff like that, stuff you post on Instagram, it's working with Coach Sanders, who obviously works with most of the prep guys as well. How did you get involved with working with him?
So junior year, we played Father Judge. And well, that wasn't one. Excuse me. Actually, I was on a visit to Rutgers my sophomore year, and a few days prior, I had saw him at prep practice, and I started talking to him on the side. Like, hey, how you doing? He's like, oh, I graduated in 2018. My name's Brandon. I play at Rutgers, and I had a family friend that played there, and he knew him obviously because they were on the team together. So then I was going up to the spring game, and then I didn't realize that he was still like a player, coach, player, student because he was injured. And then that was another connection. And then he wasn't officially a coach at the prep yet. He was still just visiting. But then my junior year, he actually joined the coaching staff. And then after my junior season, I said, hey, coach, would you be, willing to train me or work out with me? And that's kind of like right around when he started his whole BFit strength and conditioning like brand. And then it really just went on from there ever since. So really, from sophomore year, it was just like building a relationship, and then by junior year, I was like, okay, can we work out? And then he just went with it. And then you see all the other prep guys followed along too, and continue to get working. Coach Brand is a really special guy, really great coach, and just knows the game so well. He played under Coach Infante, Coach Roken, and all those coaches in the old prep days when DeAndre Swift was there. And he even talks about just playing his role. And I really learned a lot from him. Like he told me when he was like, they called him into the game because a receiver got hurt, and they told him his only job was to just run, run block the corner for DeAndre Swift, and he just did his role. And he said he didn't catch a varsity pass actually until his senior year.
Mm.
So he really had to wait his turn as well. And then that's kind of some things that I just embraced, considering I had to wait so long to play, considering I had other guys ahead of me.
All right. Do you plan to work with him in the future during like the off season?
Oh, for sure. Even before moving down or weekends I have off, from practice, I'll still make sure to get working with him as well as Coach Brian and Coach Swift. I know I don't really post him, but Coach Swift's not really a poster. Coach Brian posts occasionally, but I still get working with all the guys or coaches at the prep.
All right. Cool.
Talk a little bit about this O line and how much of an impact they make for you and the rest of the running backs. And is there anyone you enjoy most out of the group?
Repeat that last part
Is
about
there anyone you enjoy most on the offensive line?
I would probably I'll start with the first part. The impact, I would say, it's a big impact. If we can't block, we can't run the football. And without my O line, I can't make any plays, and neither can the rest of the running back. So our relationship with them is really special. Even just during practice and inside run, first day of pads, like there's like it's like I would consider like certain milestones, with inside run being one of them from a practice standpoint. And then as we build on that, and when the pads will come on in August, that really made us closer, like the missed blocks or just working out the kinks on different types of plays. So when we get to game day, we're really able to execute those plays. So that really like built the brotherhood and trust there. Like I don't care who we're playing, where we're playing them, what the weather is. I trust that my O line, everybody on the line is gonna block and make a way for me to run the football as well as the rest of the running backs. Um, any relationship with any person in particular, I would probably say I'm closest to like the senior lineman, so probably Christian and Khalil. But I love all my linemen, but those are probably the two I'm closest to because I spent the most time around them being in school.
A bit of a breaking news here. The prep has officially hired Chris Clark to be the head basketball coach after all the rumors went circulating around as a former basketball player. Seth, what's your thoughts on this?
I obviously, it's sad to see Coach Harrigan go. He's a great coach, great guy, but I think that Coach Clark will do a great job. I know that, even Jaron McKee's dad, Coach McKee, he would coach with him at Temple. So I think knowing Philadelphia basketball, and I think he's a prep alum, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so knowing prep basketball, playing under Speedy, you know, being a coach under Coach McKee, and Jaren's brothers are obviously still at the prep. So I think it should be a smooth transition, and I think we'll win a lot more games next year as well.
All right. Um, and then getting into my next official question here, you were obviously a part of the second three-peat that the prep have in the 6A division. So, having said all of that, which state championship meant the most to you?
I'll probably say this last one, only because all of them are special, and there was like growth and like different things with like each year. But I'll probably say his last one because like it's a senior, it's your last game, last first game, last game. So I probably say this one because it was the last of everything, and then the bonds that I made with the guys throughout the year were really special, and just working to get there. Like I never lost to LaSalle before this year. So even just the way we came back and responded from that game to win out was really special. The way we fixed our mistakes, the way we got better every single day, trusting coaching and what they were telling us each week. That's really what made it special. Just like the growth that we had as a team from losing the first game and then losing to LaSalle to winning the city against Imhotep and then, ultimately winning the state championship against Pittsburgh Central Catholic. So just that part really made it special.
All right, cool.
Is there a player you model your game after? Could be like a teammate, college, or pro player.
Sorry about that. I'll probably say uh college player. I probably say like Quinn Allen. From Syracuse. Oh, he's on the Jaguars now, but I really like the way that Syracuse uses him in the pass game, out the backfield, and then just the way he runs the football. He's a taller, like lankier build, kind of like myself. We're around like the same size as well, so I really like the way that he plays and the way that he changes direction and just makes plays for them. Honestly, so I probably say him.
All right.
Ryan?
Um, We talked about the past, talked about somewhat of the present. Now, we got to move towards into the future of the prep football program. Uh, we've talked a little bit about next year and how the running backs could shape out, but overall, not just next year, but in the years moving forward, how do you kind of see the preps football program shaping out?
I still see it being successful. I still think it's kind of like the same thing. Like, if we just look in the past, even like I know we're talking about the future, but you just look at the past. Like, look at all those guys, Marvin, DeAndre. Those are just the NFL guys. Look at all the success that they had, and then when Samaj's group and my grade came in, it was still the same thing. Like the nothing's really gonna change from a standpoint because every older guy is gonna tell that younger guy, hey, this is how we do things, and they're just gonna have to adjust to it. And as long as everybody buys in, I don't see any reason why we won't continue to be successful and continue to win.
All right, cool. Last question for you, at least.
Or I have two.
Oh, you have
Let's
two
see.
left.
Okay.
All right, we'll go. Oh yeah, go ahead.
What are your goals for next season individually and as a team?
At Morgan,
Yeah.
I say individually to have a really successful year in the classroom, 3.5 or better, and then I would say athletically, be the best version of myself and come ready to compete every day in practice and in the games. Those are probably my goals. And then for the team, I'd probably say to win the MEAC championship and then make it to the Celebration Bowl and the FCS playoffs.
All right, and then my last question here. Obviously, lots of great running backs in the room for the upcoming season for the Hawks. Who do you kind of see standing out in that running back room?
I would definitely say Kion, obviously, after the great year that he had last year, and then definitely Logan. I know we have a lot of new freshmen. I'm not really too familiar with all of them, but I expect a lot out of Kion and Logan. Seeing that, Logan had us to, sit behind and learn from, and then Kion just continuing what he's already done. But I expect to see a lot of those two specifically. And the whole room as a whole, like, I think if they have success and our O line has success, there's no reason why we can't get more running backs in the game.
All right, fair enough. Cole, your last question before we wrap it up.
Who would you like to thank for your success as a student athlete? Could be like a parent, coach, family member, just anyone that comes to mind.
Definitely my parents and my little brother. And then at the prep, I definitely say it's not really like one coach I can thank, but my mainly the people I spent the most time with. So like Coach Brandon, Coach Brian, Coach Swift. And then I would also say like in the counseling office, like Mr. Lay, Mr. Brown, just those two, always being there if you need somebody to talk to, helping me apply to schools, making sure my transcripts are sent, recommendation letters, just helping me manage all my like paperwork and documents. So definitely those two, my family, and then Coach Brandon, Coach Brian, and then the rest of the prep coaching staff.
All right, Cole. If you don't have anything else, I've completed my questions. Well, I guess we should leave it on this. Seth, any message to the prep community or the Morgan State community before we sign off?
I would say go prep and keep the main thing the main thing, and I expect us to win. That's it.
All right, sounds good. Well, that should do it for the latest edition of Committed to the Grind. Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best in your future endeavors and whatever you choose to pursue. And yeah, that'll do it for the latest edition of Committed to the Grind. We will see you later.